All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're about to deconstruct the career of one of the most dynamic, exhilarating, and frankly logic-defying athletes in modern sports history. We're talking about a guy who didn't just play the game of cricket, he fundamentally reinvented how it could be played. Imagine a batsman who routinely manipulated the geometry of the entire field. He'd take deliveries meticulously designed to target his off-stump and just deliberately sweep them over fine leg. Or he'd casually walk across his crease to ramp thunderous fast bowling right over the wicketkeeper's head. Honestly, it was like he was playing a completely different sport than the other 21 guys out there. So get ready, because we are unpacking the phenomenal, revolutionary legacy of Abraham Benjamin de Villiers.
Okay, let's dive into this with a pretty massive question. Is it actually possible to be the absolute greatest batsman of a generation, the most feared and respected player of your era, without ever lifting cricket's ultimate traditional silverware? Keep that paradox in the back of your mind as we go through this, because his legacy is huge. It's entirely transformative, but as you'll see, it's also kind of complex. It really forces us to ask what truly defines greatness in modern sports. Is it just the trophies sitting in a cabinet, or is it the sheer, unadulterated impact a player has on the evolution of the game itself? Let's trace this back to where this unbelievable story began.
Section 1. Origins and International Timeline.
So AB de Villiers was born in 1984 and raised in Pretoria, South Africa. Now, for years, the internet was just flooded with these wild, almost superhuman myths about his childhood. People literally claimed he was a national swimming champion, a junior Davis Cup tennis star, even a national badminton champ. But actually, scratch that. AB himself completely debunked these exaggerated rumors in his own autobiography. He admitted he was pretty decent at rugby and golf, sure, but he insisted he was never some mythical multi-sport prodigy. What he really had was this undeniable, raw, pure talent specifically for cricket, honed over countless hours in his backyard. And he brought that pure talent to the global stage as a raw 20-year-old, making his Test debut back in December 2004 against England. Just a couple of months later, in February 2005, he stepped into the ODI arena, and a year after that, T20s. From that point on, we're talking about 14 straight years playing at the absolutely highest, most demanding level of international cricket. He finally wrapped up his national T20 and Test duties between late 2017 and early 2018, before taking his final bow from all-competitive franchise cricket in November 2021. That is a staggering span of sustained excellence, especially when you consider the massive global shifts in how the sport was played during that era.
Section 2. The 360-degree method, revolutionizing batting.
You see, it wasn't just how long he played, it was how he played, or entering the realm of the extraordinary now. So, the crucial point is exactly what his famous nickname, Mr. 360, actually means. Before AB de Villiers, fielders were placed in very traditional spots, mainly because batsmen hit the ball in traditional, highly predictable ways. Well, AB completely shredded that rulebook. He had this unique, uncanny ability to strike the ball to literally any part of the field, which just entirely neutralized whatever strategy the bowler came up with. How did he do it? It was this wild combination of a super deep position in the crease, a hyper-flexible grip, and footwork that honestly looked like a dancer's. He'd aggressively shuffle way outside his off-stump right at the exact moment the bowler delivered the ball. This forced the bowler to adjust their line at the very last millisecond, which often resulted in, say, a 140 km/h Yorker that AB would just drop to one knee and effortlessly scoop right over the wicketkeeper's head for a boundary. It created the illusion that the bowler had bowled a terrible ball, making an absolute mockery of fielding setups and leaving opposing captains utterly paralyzed.
And this brilliantly illustrates his true genius. We just need to look at two specific innings, played a single week apart in 2012 against a seriously fierce Australian attack. In Adelaide, South Africa needed to survive an entire day just to save a test match. And what did AB do? He completely shut down his natural attacking instincts. He dead-batted absolutely everything thrown at him, painstakingly blocking his way to 33 runs off a grueling, physically exhausting 220 deliveries. It was a total masterclass in pure defensive survival for the sake of his team. Then, jump forward literally 1 week to Perth, against the exact same opponent. The match situation was different, so he seamlessly flipped the switch. He ruthlessly dismantled the Australian bowling lineup, smashing 169 runs off just 184 balls. This staggering contrast proves he wasn't just some talented slogger. He was a highly adaptable, tactical mastermind who could flawlessly execute completely opposite game plans based on exactly what his team needed.
Section 3. Smashing the record books. Mind-boggling stats.
Now, naturally, when you combine a tactical genius with a guy who can physically hit the ball anywhere on the ground, the statistics are going to be completely out of this world. 31. Just let that number sink in for a second. 31 balls.
That is the exact number of deliveries it took AB de Villiers to hit the fastest one-day international century in the entire history of cricket. It happened in Joburg in January 2015 against the West Indies. He walked out to the crease in the 39th over and just launched an assault the sport had literally never seen before. Elite bowlers like Jason Holder were utterly destroyed. AB finished that innings with 149 runs off just 44 balls, clearing the ropes for 16 unbelievable sixes. It was just under an hour of pure, unadulterated mayhem that left the entire stadium in absolute awe. And crazily enough, from that exact same match, we get this number, 16. 16 balls is all it took for him to reach his 50. That remains the record for the fastest ODI 50 ever recorded. To put that into perspective, the sheer physiological feat required to pull this off borders on the impossible. The reaction times you need to face a 145 km/h cricket ball, instantly judge its length, manipulate your footwork, and then swing a heavy wooden bat with enough speed to clear a 75-meter boundary 16 times in a row without making a fatal error, that's practically superhuman. It requires a level of hand-eye coordination that scientists would probably struggle to quantify. Now, what's really interesting about these numbers is his superhuman consistency. Because it's one thing to score quickly, right? It's another thing entirely to do it while maintaining elite consistency across every single format of the game. Look at his averages. An incredible 50.66 in test matches, over 114 games, facing that swinging red ball in the toughest conditions globally. At the exact same time, he averaged 53.50 in ODIs across 228 matches. He racked up over 18,000 international runs and 47 centuries across just those two formats. In cricket, hitting a batting average of 50 is essentially the gold standard of greatness. To average over 50 in both the grueling 5-day red ball format and the high-speed white ball format, that puts him in the absolute rarest air of batting royalty. And the crazy part is, it wasn't just us fans sitting in the stands who were mesmerized, it was his fellow modern greats, the guys standing just a few yards away from him on the pitch. Listen to this quote from Virat Kohli, who is arguably one of the greatest traditional batsmen to ever live. He said, "You could just do things our minds were not ready to process." Think about that. This pure validation perfectly elevates AB's status. He was this unprecedented phenomenon doing things that literally baffled professional cricketers who had spent their entire lives mastering the sport. Opposing scholars and coaching staff felt exactly the same way. Coach R. Sridhar basically hit the nail on the head when he simply said, AB de Villiers is a freak. And he wasn't just talking about his batting, but his unbelievable overall athleticism. I mean, consider how incredibly rare it is for someone to be a world-class 360-degree batsman, a phenomenal outfielder with cat-like reflexes, and a record-breaking wicketkeeper all at the same time. In fact, he became the first wicketkeeper in the history of the sport to score a century and claim 10 dismissals in a single test match. He wasn't just a batsman, he was the complete, once-in-a-lifetime athletic package.
Section 4. T20 Leagues and Controversies.
Now, the later stages of his career did become a bit more complex and heavily scrutinized. As the global T20 revolution really took hold, AB transitioned into the ultimate franchise cricket icon, especially over in the Indian Premier League. Playing for the Royal Challengers Bangalore, he scored over 5,100 runs at a blistering strike rate of 151.69. The cultural phenomenon of him playing in India was just astounding. Entire stadiums would erupt into chants of AB, AB, even when he was actively playing against the local Indian teams. Alongside Virat Kohli, he shared two massive 200-plus run partnerships. They are literally the only pair in the world to ever achieve that in T20s. All this immense cultural and financial success eventually culminated in his induction into the RCB Hall of Fame, fully cementing a global status that went way beyond national borders.
But as is often the case, this towering global franchise success eventually collided with his national duties, and it completely changed the trajectory of his career. In May 2018, just a single year away from the highly anticipated 2019 Cricket World Cup, he completely shocked the sports world. He abruptly retired from all forms of international cricket. He uploaded this stripped-down video to social media where he appeared totally drained, and he explained his sudden decision by stating very simply, "I have had my turn, and to be honest, I am tired."
Following that sudden retirement, a massive, highly publicized debate broke out regarding franchise loyalty versus national duty. A lot of critics accused him of prioritizing these lucrative, globe-trotting T20 franchise leagues over his commitment to the South African national team. And this situation escalated pretty intensely during the 2019 World Cup. After South Africa lost their first 3 matches of the tournament, news leaked to the press that AB had actually made a late offer to join the squad right before the tournament began. However, Cricket South Africa outright rejected his selection. Their reasoning was strict. They cited that he hadn't played any domestic or international cricket for his country in the direct lead-up to the event, making it unfair to the players who had actually participated in the full qualification cycle. Ultimately, it was a very polarizing and dramatic end to his national tenure.
Section 5. The Superman's Legacy. Monumental Impact.
Let's move to our conclusion and see how all of this builds our final understanding of his overall impact on the sport. Because despite the controversies at the very end of his national career, his legacy on the field of play remains absolutely monumental. There are 5 core takeaways you should remember here. First, his unmatched 360-degree innovation completely, permanently changed modern batting. Second, his sheer, record-breaking speed, permanently holding the records for the fastest 50, 100, and 150 in ODIs. Third, his elite cross-format adaptability, proving he could average over 50 in both tests and ODIs alike. Fourth, he proved you could become a true, beloved global icon primarily through the avenue of franchise cricket. And finally, answering that paradox we posed at the very beginning of this explainer, his transformative legacy proves definitively that a player can be considered an all-time great, a true king of the sport, even without ever lifting a World Cup trophy.
So, what does this all mean? Well, it brings us to our final thought. Will cricket ever see another player capable of rewriting the laws of physics and completely breaking field placements quite like him? He was a true pioneer who showed us exactly what's possible when pure imagination meets unbridled talent. I highly encourage you to go seek out some footage of his highlights to really grasp the breathtaking magic of his gameplay in real time. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the limits of what's possible.